So
Federal and 100 back in state.
it is 4 o'clock, so call the St. Cloud Metropolitan Transit Commission Board to Tuesday, February 17th. And the record reflect that everyone is here with the exception of Sartell, so. And everyone else is here. Do we have any agenda changes or additions?
No.
Consent agenda, items 5 through 8. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is adopted. Open forum. Anyone here for the open forum or online?
There are 3 people online, but they're all staff members.
Okay, all right. They don't want to type into the open forum? Probably not.
Nobody's raising their hand.
All right, no, all right. So we'll go on to general business. We have the audit under general business number 9. So turn it over.
Or would you like me just anywhere? All right, that's good. I'll just hold my stuff here. All right, well, my name is Caroline Stutzman. I'm the partner involved in your audit. So I'd like to take a few minutes of your time tonight to go through the results of that audit. The main reason you ask us to work with you is to provide an opinion on your financial statements. That opinion is housed within the independent auditor's report. Also within the independent auditor's report, both management's responsibilities as well as our responsibilities are outlined. And management's responsibilities are for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP. Really what that means is management determines the numbers, then our job kicks in where we audit that information. Our responsibility is to provide a reasonable assurance that those financial statements are free of material misstatement. Reasonable, not absolute, meaning we're not checking every single transaction that happens. We're sampling, we're looking at analytical, we're recalculating, all of those sorts of audit things. And then the opinion we're providing, it's called an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level that you can receive, not a change from previous years. Meaning we do believe those financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects as of the end of the fiscal year. One item of note, if you look through the documents, you might notice a couple yellow highlights. We are awaiting the para information. Once that happens, we'll finalize everything. So what you have in front of you is considered in draft form. Just until that happens, then we'll finalize everything and issue. Shouldn't be anything too significant. I don't know if I'm doing that or no. Okay. In addition to conducting or looking at the numbers as we go throughout our process, we also conducted our audit in accordance with government auditing standards. That requires us to consider internal controls as well as compliance. One item of note there, it's an item we've touched on in previous years, lack of segregation of accounting duties. It's just inherently present for you with the amount of staff that you have and the duties that overlap. Very, very common for entities of your size for that to be present. And then uniform guidance. We conduct an audit in accordance with uniform guidance when a single audit is required. That's the language you're probably more used to hearing. So when that threshold has increased now for the September 30th timeframe to $1 million. So anytime you spend more than $1 million worth of federal expenditures, that additional single audit is required. So federal transit cluster is what was tested. No findings related to any of that additional testing. And then one final component before we dig into the financial analysis is in relation to Minnesota legal compliance. So the Office of the State Auditor compiles a number of state statutes and puts them into a checklist for us to walk through and ask a lot of questions about. We didn't have any findings related to any of that either. So all good news there. So with that, we'll dig into the financial analysis here, just some kind of high-level charts and graphs to cover the results. First chart we have here looks at the inventory balance, just showing kind of where it's been over the 5 years and the slight decrease for 2025. This chart here looks at operating revenues. So it does not include the capital grant activity. That'll be included on next slides, but this is just your operating revenues. So in total, operating revenues increased about 5.6%. Some fluctuations just to touch on briefly. State grants increased there was larger fixed route and dial-a-ride state grants that were available. On the flip side of that, federal decreased by both were in the 2 million range, so kind of a flip-flop of that funding as it came in, mostly because there were operating grants available. In addition to that, there was capital funding or COVID funding, excuse me, that fell off as well. Outside of that, the other revenue, there was an increase in CNG rebates as well. So as I mentioned, now these dollars here that are presented in this slide do include the capital activity, not too different from the previous slide for the revenue perspective, because capital grants only decreased by about 89,000, so pretty consistent from the prior year. So in total revenues increased by 4.5%. And then when we look at expenses, see an increase there of about 1.5 million. A lot of different pieces came into play here, mostly salary and benefit related, had to do with increased positions, higher salaries and wages, pension benefits, compensated absences, insurance benefits, so more along those lines. And here we have just kind of a summary of financial analysis. So this is more your cash balances as well as your net position components, which would be that equity standpoint. So cash is the blue bar, the dark blue. So seeing an increase there of about 4.6 million. Total net position, so again, that's your equity standpoint, increased also by about 4.4 million. There's a couple components of that. One portion is what you see there as net investment in capital assets, so the orange bar. It is just that, the investment you've had over time in capital assets, you can't use it for future operations because you've already spent those dollars on it. So that part's broken out. Slight decrease there in that balance, just as depreciation outpaced additions. And then that leaves you with unrestricted net position, and that's what's available for future operations, just without that capital asset activity. So an increase in that balance. Here we have capital expenditure activity over the 5 years, so showing a slight decrease, as we kind of mentioned earlier, over the previous year. And then the next two slides just look at your revenues and expenditures in a pie chart format. Here, when we look at revenues, kind of see from a percentage standpoint that flip-flop between state and federal that I mentioned. So an increase in the state and a decrease on the federal. But other than that, pretty consistent across the revenue types as they're presented here. Similar story when we look at expenses, very similar and consistent activity, even though I mentioned the increase in expenses previously. The allocation of spending is still very similar. Slight increase in facility maintenance, but other than that, the rest are about 1% change. Happy to take any questions you might have for me.
No, thank you.
I have two quick questions. In the back of the bigger book,
Financial statement?
the financial statement.
Yep.
The stuff on the pension is all highlighted. Is there a
Yep.
reason for that?
That's the para information that we're waiting for. So
Which highlighted it.
yep, exactly. So it'll impact the actual financial statements in the front, but there's a lot of note disclosure, required supplementary information, all those pieces that are impacted by that.
If that's what you're referring
Yeah,
to. because I saw that.
It is. So there's a fair amount in there that will change. It's kind of our reminders of what we need to circle back to, not that we
Okay.
redo the whole thing, just the parts that need to be touched.
Perfect.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned the federal government, if the deduction or reduced the amount by 2 million, is that correct? In transportation funding?
The federal funding decreased, the state funding increased. So it kind of was,
Increased, so
they kind of outweighed each other. State increased by a little bit, by more than that. It was like 2.6, or I can look at the data, but federal then was like 2.2 decrease. So it kind of just flip-flopped each other.
it was actually better. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll go on to then general business item 10, consideration of Metrobus 2026 Public Transit Agency Safety Plan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You have before you for consideration an updated revised agency safety plan. The basic two changes to that were the removal of North Star link language and then the review of the performance targets, which are a strong component of the safety plan. We've been collecting data now for the last 5 years, and in conversation with the safety committee and management, we've chosen to leave the performance targets where they're at. With the exception of a couple of categories, we've done very well. A lot of it has to do with things that sometimes are not within our control when it comes to accidents and stuff. So overall, we've done very well with the safety plan and our performance targets. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Motion, this is something we have to approve, correct?
Yeah.
So just a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and approved. Discussion here. Okay.
I'm just curious, I mean, given the track record, a good safety record, is that stabilized the insurance rates and so forth, or?
It can play into it, yes. I can't remember what our increase was this year, but I don't remember. It was 5 to 7%, I think, which is
We're always gonna have an increase just based
Yeah.
on
industry
standard
standard.
industry increases.
But it affects our, what they call the EMOD. And that, well, that's actually work comp,
That's
isn't
our
it?
comp.
Yeah, so.
But operation wise, there hasn't been that many accidents or those kinds of
I
things.
think we're trending down.
We actually had it was a 30% decrease last year. So pretty significant.
And no major reportings, so that is significant as well.
Yeah, the safest operator is working for us here in St. Cloud,
Yep.
recognized by CTAA and MITA. That helps too. Excellent training team. Nice guy.
We'll put the credit where it's due. The operators and the staff are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that passes unanimously. Department update. Training, that's yours too.
That's me again. Thank you again, commissioners, for the opportunity. My name is Scott Stark. I'm the training and safety manager. 2025 was again another good year. We had 14 new and returning employees from all departments. Obviously, with operators being our largest group, we had 6 operators that we trained and put out into revenue service. We've continued our 100% exam passing rate for CDL, so that tells me that our training is doing a pretty good job. And then we did the annual training programs with our dispatchers, our operators, and our maintenance staff, along with our supervisors and our managers. This fall, we had our organizational sessions. We brought in a speaker, Renee Ronigan, who talked about being present and just smiling. She had a very good story to tell. And then we continue to be active statewide and nationally in workforce development initiatives, both on the rural transit assistance program and with the TCRP in Washington, D.C. From our safety initiatives, the safety committee continues to meet every other month. We did a lot of conversation with the agency safety plan. We do quarterly walkthroughs with our insurance partners. And then we continue to manage those liability claims when there are occurrences, accidents and that such. And as Dave mentioned, those are decreasing, so that's a good thing. As a department, we're committed to supporting all our employees. We constantly remind everybody that we're a resource. We're here to strengthen, and we're constantly trying to expand our training and make it better. And then we're always trying, as our mission statement says, to be proactive well in the safety realm and promote safety and make sure everybody's following the rules. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you have any.
Just curious, I'm not aware, is there a training facility that Metro Bus has where they take new bus drivers, or is that done with another department and then they come to you already licensed?
No, we do everything in-house.
Okay.
We do our behind the wheel and our skills out here. We practice, and then we do have to take them to the exam station here in St. Cloud to have them licensed. But we do all of our classroom and all of our behind the wheel out of this facility.
Is there a big parking lot area that they use or something, or I mean, how does that?
If you look closely on the south end of campus, you'll see our schematic on the parking lot. Not very big.
Thought you took it away park to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might get a little muddy right now.
Exactly. So,
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
I just want to recognize Nene for speaking, and Brian and I had a chance to go down to the WTS as an honorary member and was the speaker. So I did a great job representing Metro Bus, and yeah, it was very good. It's a nice. Your story was great, and the question and answer was very well done. So yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Anything else that anyone has? Anything? Yeah, it's everything. All right. We then are take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Moved. Second. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned then at 19 minutes after 4.